Hey everyone, my name is Michael from Lux Trading. On today's video, we are going to discuss the 7 ways to be more consistent in trading. Let's get right into the video. Okay, so point number 1, plan for consistency. Even if you know you want to be consistent, achieving this doesn't come automatically for most of us. It comes through a process of planning. Suppose you are going through to make the most of your potential trading career. In that case, every area of your life and trading must be accounted for and considered to generate dependability. It requires putting an infrastructure in place that will keep you on track. Now that we have established this, we are ready to move on to the next step. So step 2, live consistently. Unfortunately, I've met too many traders who thought that even with an inconsistent lifestyle, they could somehow trade consistently. Sadly, this outlook produces predictable disappointment. I've had the experience observing traders who performed exceptionally well and those who frequently encountered failure. I can say that I've never saw a regularly profitable trader who did not have a routine. One way to begin is by setting parameters to ensure proper sleep. This means going to bed and waking up at a consistent time. In addition, this enables you to conduct a healthy pre-trading morning routine of diet, exercise, and preparation for the day. Shuttling sleep is but one example of lifestyle consistency. You can also examine the habits you've developed in your social life, relationships, and financial habits, and then consider how stability in all these areas will breed further consistency. This concept can be adapted to various scenarios by each of you according to your life routines. So step 3, prepare for consistency. Preparation is another crucial habit. One trader told me simply that when he prepared for his day, he was generally profitable, but when he didn't, his losses mounted. Stability in preparing for a trading day means putting in the necessary time to analyze your charts. For some of you, this may be more involved than for others. However, for those who manually draw trend lines and other notes on your charts, it's essential that you make the time to do whatever you do best to start each day. Step 4, trade the same time frames. I have found that traders who constantly adjust their time frames are not usually successful. Maybe you have not found your ideal time frame, and if that is the case, then your issue is more about system failure. However, for those with a solid system, it is best to learn to trade during the same time frame during the day. For example, there is a behavior in the markets at the session open as opposed to later in the day. When you trade during the same time frames, the market and that specific time of day become a friend. You end up with a better idea of how your market should act within that time period. Step 5, be consistent with your risk and reward. Now, before I dig into this, I'll preface. You may have a system that calls for a separate risk function from one market variable to the next. In that case, if your system is well defined and tested, I'm not referring to you. Instead, what I am attempting to identify is traders who just decide to randomly wing it and elect different risk to reward components from one trade to the next. The problem is that this is usually the result of subjective reasoning deriving from emotion rather than from the functionality of market statistics. Okay, so step 6, trade the same markets. This idea echoes the sentiment of the previous section. If you shift your concentration among different markets, chances are you lack a consistent system. In that case, your first step is solidifying your system. Otherwise, you may regularly encounter disappointment. However, there is another way of looking at this. I knew a trader who had a good system. His problem was that he would get bored with his best markets and seek to fish around other charts looking for opportunities. In my experience, there is a sharp distinction in the level of success for those who are trading with what they know as opposed to what they are not used to. Okay, so final and last step, follow your rules consistently. First off, if you don't have rules, then I rather suggest you to a certain sum. However, for those that do, you know it is much more challenging to keep rules than to generate them. Of course, any long-term, seasoned, experienced, and successful trader likely knows when to sidestep a rule, but that goes beyond the current discussion. If you frequently renegotiate your rules, you are unlikely to be successful. Just think of all the mental energy that trading takes. Frankly, we don't need to subject ourselves to the greater level of fatigue that ensues from the process of bending or breaking the rules. A final thought, long-term successful traders know that critical self-assessments and adaptations are keys to surviving and thriving. The problem is that when you become inconsistent with any of these 7 methods, you are presented with a more significant challenge when it comes to self-assessment. For example, it's much easier to analyze ourselves when we've kept our rules than when we've broken them or when we've traded consistent timeframes and market compared to trading randomly. If you want to grow into the kind of trader your potential suggests, you should give yourself a solid basis for feedback. The greater your consistency, the better precision you should have at identifying and reminding your growing edges. Okay, everyone. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, like the video, and I look forward to seeing you all on the next one. Safe trading.